Ew. Tapping in. I'm dropping shit already, man. Tapping in real quick. Y'all wild for this, man. Dana White Contender Series Week 4, 2024, man. I thought I was a fucking degenerate, man. Some of y'all may have very well taken that shit to the next level betting on this shit. Y'all fucking crazy, man. Let's talk about it, though. Let's dive into this. Whatever this is, real quick. All right, let's talk about this, man. Y'all might not like my picks, but at the end of the night, y'all might have to respect some shit. You know what I'm talking about? Because, shit, yo, this is why I don't get into this shit, man. But let's talk about it real quick. Igor. I don't know how to say old boy's last name, and we just gonna call old other boy KO. Cause I don't know how all that's being pronounced neither. So Igor versus KO. You know, last Igor that came in through Dana White Contender Series looking half-ass decent ended up biting old boy. You know, that's gonna be fighting on the card this coming weekend. Let's see how this one pans out. You know what I'm talking about? But anyway, Igor is a minus 300 against KO's plus 240. Let's talk about Igor at minus 300 real quick. 9-0 up against opposition with combined records of 27 wins and 34 losses. An amateur record of 2-0. I'll say that again. Igor's 9-0 is up against opposition with combined records of 27 wins and, yes, 34 losses. But this is who we have a minus 300 next to. KO, his 10-2 is up against opposition with combined records of 75 wins, 60 losses. He has no amateur career. And to kick this card off, if this is the way that this card is lined up, give me the motherfucking dog. We are in the doghouse, but give me the motherfucking dog. I know he doesn't have an amateur career, amateur record. Old boy has a little amateur record of 2-0, but old boy's 9-0 is up against opposition with combined records of 27 wins and 34 losses. Man, I understand he got an O next to his name. I understand he's looked very fucking well as of yet against the opposition that he's been up against. Well, as he fucking should have. And I didn't check it, but hopefully he's got a 100% finishing rate still intact up against opposition that looks like that. At least the dog at 10-2. 3 more fights under his belt. Up against opposition with combined records of 75 wins and 60 losses. Granted, he has no amateur record. But 75 wins and 60 losses, at least in this low-level mixed martial arts matchup, the losses are not outweighing the wins. You understand what I'm saying to you? I'm going to take the dog to kick off the card if this is the way that it's lined up, man. So give me the dog at plus 240 for whatever the fuck it's worth. If y'all want to tap in and hold me to these picks in any way, shape, form, or fashion, I ain't even going to tell you what you can do. You already know. You know what I'm talking about? KO's the pick at plus 240. For what it's worth, man. Now we got Curry and Santos. Curry is at a minus 400. Curry has 12-3 up against opposition with combined records of 77 wins and 50 losses, an amateur record of 5-0. Santos is 9-1 up against opposition with combined records of 39 wins, 41 losses, amateur record of 3-0. We have another individual whose losses slightly outweigh the wins. You understand what I'm saying to you? It is what it is, man. Minus 400. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't necessarily agree with any of these price tags. Let's get that out the way first and foremost. I personally believe none of these price tags are justified, man. All of these motherfuckers coming in the Dana White Contender Series should be pick'ems on the money lines, just smooth pick'ems. Minus 110, minus 110 from bottom to fucking top. Because regardless of how they've looked in their matches prior to making their Dana White Contender Series showing, they've done so against other prospects. And honestly, other prospects of a very low level. You know what I mean? So it's prospect versus prospect. It's untested prospect versus untested prospect. You understand what I'm saying to you? None of them have been battle tested by anybody of, significant opposition, in my personal opinion. And they're making a Dana White Contender Series showing. They should all be pick'ems because this is a new platform. You understand what I'm saying to you? We're snatching a bunch of individuals that have looked fucking magnificent as of yet and placing them against each other. Nothing about these price tags should be justified in my personal opinion because as I've said, none of them have been tested by a legitimate high level of opposition, man, for us to be arguing any of their motherfucking statistics as of yet. You know what I'm talking about? That's just me, though, and that's why I don't get into this shit. But a lot of motherfuckers been tapping in, talking about Dana White Contender Series, this week, in particular, man. So we just gonna chop it up for what's left of this video. I'm not gonna hold y'all hostage for too long. We got a dog to kick the card off. If that's where he's sitting on the card, wherever he's at, I expect him to bark. You know what I'm talking about? And that's KO against Igor. KO at plus 240, who's 10-2, is up against opposition with combined records of 75 wins and 60 losses. And granted, he has no amateur record. I think the only one on this whole card who doesn't have an amateur record, but at least his wins outweigh his losses because Igor at minus 300, 9-0, is up against opposition with combined records of 27 wins and 34 losses. And yes, he has an amateur record of 2-0, but 27 wins and 34 losses, homeboy. The losses are outweighing the wins. I cannot comfortably, bet you in any way, shape, form, or fashion at minus 300. You know what I mean? Fuck out of here with that. So it's a dog on that. And it's not a dog or pass. That dog should bark, man. You know what I'm talking about? Is what it is. And, Curry's the pick against Santos, man. Curry to go ahead and move on to 13-3. I don't know how he's going to get it done in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't know that he's going to justify the price tag, but up against Santos, who's 9-1, is up against opposition with combined records of 39 wins and 41 losses. He may very well justify that price tag and some. So Curry's going to be the pick there. You know what I'm talking about? But we balancing out that minus 400 by attaching this plus 240 to it. You feel what I'm saying to you? Y'all are some smooth degenerates for this shit, man. You know what I'm talking about? Bashi. Bashi versus Ramos. Bashi. My bad if I'm butchering your shit. Bashi. Bashi at minus 550. Huh? Bashi at minus 550. Boy, you better look as magnificent as I'm making your name sound, motherfucker, at minus 550. Going against Ramos, Bashi, he's 12-0. Up against opposition with combined records of 74 wins, 43 losses. 2-0 as an amateur. Ramos, who's plus 400. He's 8-2. Up against opposition with combined records of 42 wins, 23 losses. He's 4-0. As an amateur. Bashi has 2 more fights than Ramos. The win-to-loss ratio is not much different though. You give I gotta go back and look at what the win-to-loss ratio was when Bashi was 10-0. To really be exact doing that, man. You know what I'm talking about? But with that being said, none of them have been tested by a high level of opposition. None of them have been tested by a significant level of opposition, in my personal opinion. You know what I'm talking about? And even though old boy, the one boy, did face Christian Leroy Duncan, and that's where 2 of his losses come from. The one boy, who the fuck was that? Whoever the fuck that was. Curry, whoever it was. I can't remember which one it was that fought Christian Leroy Duncan before anybody goes crazy and starts talking about, oh, well, you know, this, that, man. Christian Leroy Duncan took that step up in his hometown and still got, you know, still caught the L, man. Regardless of how anybody feel about it. You feel me? The Gregory Rodriguez, who is medium high on the stovetop. You know what I'm talking about? He's not a high level of opposition. He is medium high. He is medium high. He's not medium. He's not medium low. We're not going to disrespect Gregory Rodriguez, though. You know what I'm talking about? He's medium high. He's not a high level of opposition. So before anybody goes crazy on the fact that, you know, 2 of those losses on Old Boy's record come via that, pump your brakes and fall back. Don't go too crazy, man. CLD ain't all that. You know what I'm talking about? He ain't all that. He legitimate. He legitimate to a certain extent. You know what I mean? You know. He's no high level of opposition, though. None of these individuals have been tested by a high level of opposition. Again, all just my personal opinion. You know what I mean? Bashi versus Ramos, though. I don't know that Bashi, unless Bashi gets Old Boy up out of there inside the distance with quickness in the first round. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know that he's going to justify that price tag, man. Ramos is a bit tough. You know what I mean? He's a bit tough. He ain't no, you know, he ain't no scrub. So I don't know that Bashi's going to justify the price tag. You know what I mean? And at minus 550, you feel me? He's nowhere in nothing for me because he's over that minus 500 line. So you all do what y'all want to do with that one. I think it's going to be highly competitive, though, man. You know what I'm talking about? Old Boy's 12-0. You know, it looks very appealing. But again, you know, it's against opposition with combined records of 74 wins, 43 losses. Ramos is 8-2. Is against opposition with combined records of 42 wins, 23 losses. You know what I mean? Old Boy's got, Bashi got a couple more fights on his belt and possibly, maybe has faced, you know, the slightly better level of opposition. But fuck out of here with a minus 550. You know what I mean? So you can give me KO at plus 240, and you can give me Curry at minus 400. It's a complete pass. Do what y'all want to do with it. I'm not even going to say Bashi should win. You know what I mean? I just leave this one the fuck alone, man. I'm not going to offer no information on it, man. You feel me? And I went and did the best I could do to watch whatever I could watch on, you know, the individuals that are involved in the, you know, the 10 individuals involved in these 5 fights. You know what I'm talking about? I didn't go crazy, though. You know what I'm saying? So, I'd leave this one the fuck alone, but if one of y'all got a better read or, you know, inside, go with what you know, man. You know what I'm talking about? But it's Curry and KO for me so far. I'm skipping over this Bashi and Hamo shit, man. You know what I'm talking about? What's this? Dubin? That's how she say her name? Dubin and Clark, man. Motherfucking Dubin. Huh? Plus 450. You know what I mean? Old girl 4-0. Up against opposition with combined records of 0-0. Huh? Fuck out of here, man. And y'all wonder why I don't do this shit, man. 4-0. Up against opposition with combined records of 0-0. And I do believe she has another fight, though. I do believe she had 5 fights. And her first fight was ruled a no contest. But it was against opposition who was 0-0. Like, she's fought nothing but individuals incoming. Nobody who's ever fought anybody before. You know what I mean? Now she about to fight a female who done been in there, at least with females who've been in there with other females. You know what I'm talking about? My goodness, man. Dubin, plus 450, 4-0, up against opposition with combined records of 0-0 with an amateur record of 2-1. Oh, man, Clark, she minus 700, man. She better justify the fuck out of this up against Dubin. Huh? Jesus. Clark 5-0 up against opposition with combined records of 12 wins, 3 losses, man. Can't be mad at her. Got an amateur record of 5-0. She better come in here and justify this price tag and some. You know what I'm talking about? Boy, oh boy. Damn, man. That's so sad. 4-0 up against opposition with combined records of 0-0. Woo. And she had a 5th fight, though. You know what I'm talking about? And that was up against opposition with, you know, just all across the... This shit wild. And y'all fucking degenerates. Because I know some of y'all are parlaying Bashi and Clark, Curry. Yo, y'all sad as fuck for that. I can dig it, though, man. I can't be mad at it, man. Clark the pick. Clark the pick like a motherfucker, man. She better justify the fuck out that price. If Clark don't finish this girl, Dubin, but she wins a split decision over Dubin, and she's a favorite going into her next matchup in the UFC, and y'all better and start talking about how she going. Man, y'all better stop it. She better beat the brakes off of Dubin, and if she doesn't, y'all better never fuck with her again. I'm trying to tell y'all. Is what it is. Is what it. I might have went backwards with this shit. Quinlan and Young might be the first fight. I have no fucking idea, right? Quillen. Q at -200. 6-1 up against opposition with combined records of 20 wins and 11 losses. Amateur record of 8-3. You know what I'm talking about? -200 next to Q's name. 6-1 as of yet up against opposition with combined records of 20 wins and 11 losses. He's 8-3 as an amateur. You know what I'm talking about? Young, +165, 8-1. Up against opposition with combined records of 52 wins, 47 losses, 7-1 as an amateur. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. It ain't enough time. Oh, this motherfucker for me to pull what I'm trying to think about this shit. This shit's ridiculous. Fuck. Come on, man. We going with Q? Or we gonna fuck with Young? With that 165, with that 240, take KO and Young. It's my 2 dogs, man. Fucking Q. Q at -200, huh? 6-1 up against opposition with combined records, 20 wins and 11 losses. 8-3 as an amateur, man. And Young, 8-1 up against opposition with combined records of 52 wins and 47 losses. 7-1 as an amateur. Neither one of these motherfuckers, you know, just jump off the page like, yo, I got you. Fuck with me. And fuck all these motherfuckers, man. You can give me Curry and KO, man. I don't know what the fuck Curry and KO come in at. Give me Curry and KO, though, man. Maybe a dog play on Young. Fuck this shit. And I almost spent 20 minutes on this shit, man. I don't know if I ran that shit from top to bottom or bottom to top. I don't know how the fuck I ran that shit, man. Motherfucker. We gonna come back to Q and Young, man. Clark's the pick. And she better justify that shit over Dubin. I'm talking about Fucking Dubin. 4-0 up against opposition with combined records of 0-0. And her other fight was against a 0-0. But that got ruled a no contest, though. Fucking Dubin. What if Dubin fucked everybody's shit up? Fuck Dubin. Clark better justify that shit, man. Clark's the pick. Now I'm talking about Curry's the pick and KO's the pick for me as a dog. You know what I mean? Fucking Bashi and Q. What they gonna do? You know what I'm talking about? What are Bashi and Q really gonna do? Motherfuckers. You know what I mean? It's a complete pass on that Bashi and Ramos for me, and it's a complete pass on that Q and Young for me, man. Which one is the... I know there's a few matchups on this card where individuals are, you know, a few years younger. They got a significant youth advantage, but it's not like the other motherfucker is somewhere stepping outside their prime. They may very well be in it. They just, you know, might not be a magnificent prime. You know what I'm talking about? But it might be theirs. You feel me? At 30 or whatever, where some of these individuals are 20-something, haven't peaked yet, haven't even came close to it. Or on the other side, although they already youth disadvantaged, it's nothing significant, you know, significantly over the 30s, where we got to talk about it being a problem, in my personal opinion. They may very well be peaking. So I don't know what the age situation is with Q and Young, Bashi and Ramos, or any of these other individuals. I know there was a few of them where there's a discrepancy. I'm fucking with KO, though. Give me KO, man. Fuck Igor, man. Igor's 9-0 better be 100. He better have 100% finishing rate intact with that 9-0 up against opposition with combined records of 27 wins and 34 losses. And this is who we had a nerve to put a -300 next to. I don't give a fuck how good he's looked, man. Fuck up out of here. That's disrespectful on so many levels for so many reasons, man. Huh? -300 for an individual who's 9-0 up against opposition. Fuck the O. Fuck the undefeated shit. The opposition that he's undefeated against. Talk about that when you're making this money line, man. 27 wins and 34 losses, man. At least old boy KO, 10-2, is against opposition with combined records of 75 wins and 60 losses. I mean, nothing great about it, nothing to call home and brag about, but shit. At least my losses ain't outweighing my motherfucking wins. You know what I'm talking about? As far as the level of opposition that I've been up against to get where I'm at, man. You know what I mean? Fuck that. But that's why I don't fuck with this shit. Because none of these motherfuckers have been tested. None of this shit is legitimate. And none of us should be arguing about any of these stats on any level, in any way, shape, form, or fashion, man. You know what I'm saying? You got jokers who come through the Contender Series and, you know, get their first matchup in the UFC against somebody else from Road to the UFC or the Contender Series, somebody else, and based off of the Contender Series showing and that first fight against somebody else from a Contender Series or some other UFC show, they got like 100% takedown defense. And motherfuckers are like, man, ain't nobody gonna get this motherfucker to the ground. Man, miss me with that shit. 100% takedown defense up against what? It's been tested against what? Man, fuck out of here and fuck all these stats. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck what they've done to get to 6-1, 8-1, 4-0, 5-0, 12-0, 8-2, 12-3, 9-1, 9-0, or 10-2. I don't give a fuck what they've done or who they've done it to. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? Fuck out of here. That shit don't mean nothing. That shit don't mean nothing. They should all have 100% finishing rate intact. None of them should be a motherfucker. They should all be undefeated. There should be no losses in any of them columns based off the level of opposition that they've been up against, man. And again, like I said, miss me with the CLD, the Christian Leroy Duncan, because when he took that medium-high level step up from medium on the stove, we tried to turn him up just a little bit. He took a loss in his hometown. You know what I'm talking about? And I think we all already seen in that performance where that ceiling's sitting at, man. Not look good for him going forward against any of them individuals, you know, ranked or that can implement their game on him, man. So you got to miss me with that. None of them have been tested against a legitimate high level of opposition for any of these statistics to be argued, man. Or for me to be spending 30 minutes on this shit. But it is what it is, man. That's that with that. For me, anyway, you know, Clark, Curry, and KO are the picks. I'd stay away from that Bashi and Ramos shit. And I don't know, man. I'm kind of feeling young over Q. You know, kind of feeling young at plus 165 over Q in a fight where I feel like it should be minus 110, pick 'em any motherfucking way. You gonna give me a dog? I'll take him. Ain't no discrepancies in the level of opposition that they face. Young's got a couple more fights under his belt. You know what I'm talking about? Q had 2 more fights under his belt. Their records will probably be exactly the same as far as level of opposition is concerned, man, in my personal opinion. So I'm not looking at that. I look at what the fuck, you know, I'm not looking at that 8-1, 6-1, that up against that 6-1 against opposition with combined records of 20 wins and 11 losses. The 8-1 against opposition with combined records of 52 wins and 47 losses. They both got amateur careers. You know what I mean? One boy's 7-1, one boy's 8-3. As far as I'm concerned, the level of opposition and all that is exactly the same, with the exception that old boys had a couple more fights. Again, this is just my personal opinion. So based off of what a little bit I've been able to see off of these 2 individuals, I mean, give me the dog, man. He might be the older out of the 2, but he also may be in his prime, and he may be, you know, maybe at his peak. Where on the other side, old boy still has not reached that peak yet. Still coming into himself, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's an age discrepancy in this one or not, but fuck it. Give me Young. I wouldn't bet it. If I was betting, you know what I'd do. You know what I mean? I like KO as a dog, and I like Curry. Clark, she's it's women's MMA, and it's over minus 500. Bashi's over minus 500, so you can miss me with all that shit. I'd take Curry and KO at whatever that minus 400 and plus 240 wrapped together in 2 legs would give me. You know what I mean? And if I had to force a pick on the Young and Q, Jane, it would be Young. I'm out. Appreciate y'all.